Well, welcome to another Relate Well Live. And yes, I'm holding a straw, and I don't know why. Probably because I like a pointer. So I'm pointing. How about that? We pointing. So I guess I can put the straw down, huh? Anyways, welcome to another Relate Well Live with Dr. Rick Marks. And I hope you're having a great week so far and that your holiday season is meaningful and it's connecting to family, and that you will have a relaxing, healthy, wholesome time in the spirit of this holiday, which is spirit of love and sacrifice and goodwill and glad tidings. So that is my hope for all of you who are listening. All right. So you know that these Relate Well lives are focused on helping people become the best version of themselves, as well as having healthy, wholesome relationships. Today, we're going to tackle a subject that's been growing in this country for the last 40 years: narcissism. That's right, folks. Narcissism has been growing in America for the last 40 years. We've seen an increase in it. And did you know that organizational systems, church systems, business systems can be narcissistic as well? That's right. An organization can be narcissistic as well. It'll pick up the narcissist traits from its narcissistic leader. And now we're going to talk about how would you know if the person that you're married to is a narcissist. Now let's talk about what narcissism is. Narcissism comes from an ancient myth of a man named Narcissus who was traveling through the desert, and he came upon an oasis in the desert. And in the oasis was a pond, and it had water. And the story goes that Narcissus basically scooped down to get some water, and for the first time ever, he saw his reflection in the pond. He saw his reflection in the water. And he was so enamored with what he looked like, he kept staring and staring and staring until he died. Narcissism. Narcissists are people who have a overly high estimation of themselves. They lack the ability to have compassion and empathy. And if they do, it's because they want something. Narcissists are pretty well focused strictly on them. It's just who they are as a way of being. It's a personality disorder. In the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, now in the 5th edition, which basically is the mental health, it's the book by which all mental health diagnoses come from in the field of psychology or psychiatry. And in the DSM, there are what are called personality disorders. Narcissistic personality disorder is an Axis 2 diagnosis, which is a character disorder. It's a personality disorder. And typically, you don't heal from them. You just learn to manage them. There are some who believe you can heal from them, but it takes many years of pretty intense psychotherapy to get that to happen. All right. So that's what narcissism is. But how would you know that you're married to someone? Now, let me say this before I get into it. The term narcissism is being thrown around a lot today. It's like everybody's being a narcissist, right? If you're just really selfish, we're calling you a narcissist. Narcissism, and particularly narcissistic personality disorder, is a very particular cluster of behaviors to actually get that diagnosis. But we do know through research that America has become more narcissistic. You get the difference. There's narcissistic personality disorder. That's what you have. However, more and more people are narcissistic. In other words, they have narcissistic traits. All right? Addicts, people with addictions have a narcissistic trait, because in every addictive personality, there's what's called addictive narcissism. All right? And so we have to be careful the terms that we use, but many, many people today are narcissistic. So let's go over 12 signs. That's right, 12 signs that you're married to a narcissist. Are you ready? Number one sign, you are being gaslighted by them. That's right. You're being gaslighted. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a patterns of behaviors where when you're in a relationship with this person who's gaslighting you, you feel like you're the crazy one. You feel like you're the blame. Gaslighters put responsibility on you. They never take responsibility. They get you to question your own thinking. They get you to question your own perceptions. You'll notice they did something, you'll call them out on it, and they'll convince you that you saw it wrong to the point where you're not even sure what's real anymore. You're starting to doubt your own sanity. You're starting to think, oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't see things like I should. I need to depend more on them. That's what gaslighting does. It gets you to the point where you feel so crazy and so out of control and so to the point where you don't know what's going on because you gave up your ability to think. You gave up your ability to reason because narcissists use gaslighting to make sure you don't think. Narcissists use gaslighting to make you feel crazy. Narcissists use gaslighting to put them on top. Remember, if you feel inferior, if you feel like you're crazy, if you feel like you don't know that you can't even trust your own perspectives, and I reframe it for you, then that makes you more dependent on me for your sense of what is true and not, because your gaslighting will eventually cause you to question all of what you see and believe. And narcissists do this because they want complete control. They're the ones who want to control everything. Narcissists do this because as long as they can keep you from guessing or understanding what's real and second guessing yourself, they can control you. They can control you because narcissists do not like humility. It is pride in extremes. And so humility means giving up control. Narcissisms want control. Gaslighting is one of the things that they do in order to control you. All right. Number 2 sign. The longer you're in a relationship with a narcissist, the more alone you will feel over time. Did you get that? The longer you're in a relationship with a narcissist or someone who's narcissistic, the more alone you will feel over time. You know, all humans fear being alone, disconnected. It's a human condition that we're not meant to be alone. We're looking for healthy love and healthy attachments. Narcissists really never got healthy love and healthy attachments. As a matter of fact, at their core, they fear intimacy. They fear being connected. Why? Because in order to be intimate with another person, you have to move to vulnerability. To move to vulnerability, you have to move to humility. Narcissists operate from pride. They will not move to humility, you see. And because humility is required for intimacy to happen, you can never feel connected to these people. You will always feel a sense of aloneness, disconnection. Why? They don't have the emotional capacity to bond or attach. What they do bond to, what they do attach to is themselves. Themselves, which we can be honest, isn't healthy attachment anyways. And so the longer you're in a relationship with them, you're going to feel more alone over time. Now, they may pursue you sexually, but they're just taking from you. Every once in a while, they may give you, a bone in a sense to make you think that they're connecting and bonding to you. But in reality, they're not. They don't know how to bond and they don't know how to connect. And so the longer you're in a relationship with a narcissist, the more disconnected you will feel over time. And you don't want that disconnection. So you pursue intimacy. You ask questions. You want to snuggle with them. You want them to open up and talk about their day, whatever it is you want from them. They're not able to give it to you. Why? They focus on themselves. They're about control. In order to be intimate, you have to be willing to move to humility and vulnerability. because intimacy is built that way. And in that kind of intimacy, you feel connected, you feel loved, you feel valued, you feel that you matter, you feel loved and lovable. But when those relational core needs are not met, and we talk about those in Relate Well, as a matter of fact, we talk about those there. When those relational core needs are not met, then you're going to be in pain, and pain moves you out of connection into disconnection, aloneness. By the way, I noticed some folks are coming in to join me. If you don't mind, I'd be honored if you'd say hi and let me know you're here. I'll be watching the board over here to my right. So if you're here, if you have a question or if you have a comment, please ask away. All right. So I would love for this time to be interactive. All right. Number three. One of the ways you also know that you're married to a narcissist is you are always at fault. That's right, folks. You're to blame for everything. You're to blame for how the kids are. You're to blame for the house being the way it is. You're also to blame for how the narcissist feels. You're to blame for what they do. If they hit or push you, you made them do it. You're at fault. Because the one thing that narcissists will not do is take responsibility. They will not take responsibility for their choices. Why? Pride won't let them. Their arrogance won't let them. And because they cannot see, they lack the self-awareness. I probably better put it that way. Because they lack self-awareness, they're not able to take responsibility because of their lack of self-awareness. To have self-awareness is to move to humility. But narcissists are arrogant people, and the arrogance blinds them to their arrogance. Did you get that? Arrogance blinds them to their arrogance. And because narcissists are not able to look in the mirror and see what they do and the effects of what they do, cause and effect, what they do then is they blame the spouse for the things that take place. You get blamed for making them angry. You get blamed for them pushing you. You get blamed for them yelling at you. You get blamed for them being mean to you. You get blamed for them controlling you. You're to blame for everything. And they're to blame for nothing. Nothing. Why? Because narcissists don't take responsibility. And when you don't take responsibility, what's the path? Blame. Can't be me. It's got to be somebody else. And so narcissists live in such a way that they're the center of the world, and if anything happens to them, it's somebody else's fault. They're not able to see the connection between their choices and actions and the ripple effect it has on other people. Healthy, mature people have the ability to understand that if I make this choice, it will have this effect on that person. And then they're able to think it through before they ever make that choice. That's self-awareness, you see. And in self-awareness, you can take responsibility. In self-awareness, you can stop yourself from behaving in unhealthy ways. Why? Because after you've mastered self-awareness, which is the primary fundamental of emotional intelligence, then you can start to master self-control. You can stop yourself from doing something, but you can't stop yourself from doing something if you're not aware that you're doing it. And so the third sign that you're married to a narcissist is you're always to blame. They're responsible for nothing. Number 4 sign that you're married to a narcissist. Number 4. Another way that you know you're married to a narcissist is that the narcissist will control your time and your friendships. They're going to control your calendar. They're going to control what you do at the house. They're going to try and control who you're friends with. They're going to try and control what church you go to and who you can hang out with at church. They're going to control every aspect of your social life. Why? They need the control to feel secure. They need the control to feel safe. The thing is, though, you don't have the freedom to choose your friendships. And if you have a friendship with someone, or if you, let's say, bump into someone and someone of the opposite and ask them a question, you're cheating on me. You're pursuing them. Again, blame, right? Everything you do is going to be misconstrued as somehow nefarious or you're doing something to hurt them. All right. They don't have the ability to step back and go, you're just being friendly or you're being kind. They want to control your time. They want to control your friendships. You can't go to bed until these things are done. Why did you do this? No, you can't go there. You have to do this here. Why are you going to see those people? Why can't you just stay here with me? You will think of it this way. They're Saturn, and you're the ring that runs around it. And you can only ring around them. You can't ring around someone else. That's probably the best metaphor I can think of to help you understand it. When you feel like your life is in orbit around that other person and that you have to stay in their orbit and you can't go outside of that orbit, you're probably in a relationship with a narcissist, or at least someone who's narcissistic. Number 5. Another sign that you're married to a narcissist is that they are very adept at criticizing your parenting skills. Did you know that you're a bad parent? Did you know that you did that wrong? Did you know you talked to the kids wrong? Did you know you can't let them have ice cream? Did you know you need to get my permission to let them have those Dippin' Dots? Did you know? Fill in the blank. They're the expert on parenting. They're the expert on child rearing. They're the expert on child development. And you need to learn from them. Doesn't matter that you may have a degree in psychology or childhood development. You still don't know enough. Your parenting skills are going to be criticized. And if you do something or parent the kids in a way without their permission, boy, oh boy, did you ever just create World War III in your home. You don't make decisions when it comes to parenting without the narcissist's input. I'll be honest with you. It's not that they want your input. They want you to do it their way. You got it? It's like my way or the highway when it comes to parenting. You don't tell me how to parent. I tell you how to parent. And so parenting skills are going to be criticized. Matter of fact, if you stay in a relationship with these folks, you may even start to doubt your parenting ability. You may begin to believe that you are a poor parent. You may begin to believe that you aren't allowed to make decisions. You see, he's the head. You submit. Do what they tell you. Sometimes I think in the evangelical church in particular, I think complementary theology, which is the idea that the man is the head of the home and she is to submit and respect. I think that theology breeds narcissism and attracts narcissism. Just my thought. You don't have to agree. Number 6 sign that you are in a relationship with a narcissist is a narcissist. Remember, they're the center of the world. We're going to use the idea of Saturn. They're Saturn. You ring around them. That's why they control your friends and your time. But they'll also control you as it relates to your family. You can't go see your parents. You can't see your siblings. We're not going to go over there on this holiday. You're staying here at our place. We're going to my parents' place. You see, they'll divide you from your family. The one thing that narcissists, if they have a fear, and this is one of their biggest fears, is that they'll lose control over you. And if you listen to your parents enough, then they might talk reason into you. And if your parents talk reason into you, you might come to realize you're being gaslighted. You might realize that you're losing control of your own ability to think and reason, and that's why you always accept the blame they put on you and the criticism that they have of your parenting skills and maybe even your homemaking skills. You see, and so they will divide you from your family. Why? Because I can't allow other input in that can challenge my control over you. And so this is why narcissists are really, they're authoritative or authoritarian. I'm right, you're wrong. Don't question me. And I can't trust your family. So I isolate you from your family. I divide you from them. I get you to see them the way that I want you to see them. Why? So you won't be around them. And sadly, many spouses give up the family relationship for the marital bond. Folks, I get that marriage and us is both be the most important part of marriage. I do respect that. But it doesn't mean you throw your parents away. It doesn't mean that you throw your extended family relations away. Now, if you have a spouse that basically is trying to isolate you, to disconnect you from your family of origin, make it very clear that it won't happen, that you're not going to live that way, that you need relationships outside of your marriage as well. You know, every healthy relationship, you need a relationship to God, and you need a relationship to family and friends, and you need a relationship to yourself, you see. But sometimes some people want you only to relate to them without having a balanced relationship in other areas of your life, community and family and friends. Make sure you have a balance in all four of what are known as the natural forms of relationship. The four natural forms of relationship are your relationship to God, your relationship to yourself, your relationship to family and friends, and your relationship to your community around you. That community could be a church group, it could be a 12-step group, it could be a remote control air club, right? It might be a Civil War heritage group. That's more me, military stuff, right? It might be a crocheting, it might be a reading group, right? We all need to be in a community around us as well. And you need a balance in all four. Narcissists will pull you from those. Why? They only want you to have a relationship to them. Number seven, this goes a little beyond the parenting skills being criticized. You know you're in a relationship with a narcissist because you're constantly being criticized. It doesn't matter what you do, right? You put the toilet paper on wrong, it's supposed to go this way, not that way. You cooked poorly, or you don't make the bed correctly. Your parenting is terrible, right? The stuff you do at work doesn't work. All right. You handle the books crazy. I can't trust you to spend money. Now they can go spend all they want, and they can parent them what they want, and they can come and go as they want. But you are constantly being criticized. Your value and worth are being torn down day by day by day through the gaslighting, through the criticism, through the neglect, through the threats. And as you're constantly criticized and being torn down, negativity, 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 you start to wonder, do I do anything well? Do I do anything right? Do they appreciate me at all? You don't know over time. You don't know over time. We all need to hear the things that we do that are good about us. It's called appreciations. And we all need to hear appreciations. We all need to know we're appreciated. But narcissists aren't really adept at appreciating. They are very good at pointing out all your faults. This one kind of goes along with this, particularly if you start to challenge them, their authority, their centrality. Number 8 sign is narcissists hold grudges. Buddy, let me tell you something. You in a relationship with a narcissist, I don't care what you do, they are historical. They've got a list of grudges that they keep throwing out to you over the years. That's right. Did you get that? Over the years. In other words, it isn't something you've done and they forgive and move on. Oh no, it's something you've done and it comes up over and over and over and over again. It's that old joke about two men sitting around talking, and one of them says, my wife gets angry. She gets historical. The other guy goes, you mean hysterical? He goes, no, she gets historical. She brings it all up. They hold grudges. They're resentful. They're bitter. Why? Because you didn't do things their way. You didn't conform. Being the center of the world, then you must do everything the way they expect it to be, in the way that they want it to be. They hold grudges. Number 9 sign, and this one should be pretty obvious based on all the other things we've talked about so far. 9th sign that you're married to a narcissist is that narcissists lack empathy and they lack compassion. They lack empathy and they lack compassion. Now, you notice I use those two words, and some people like to use those interchangeably. You can in one level culturally, but in reality, they're not the same thing. Empathy is being able to step into someone else's shoes and feel what they feel. It's me being able to sense how something is for you. It's me empathizing with your thoughts and your feelings. I can see how you think that. That makes sense why you feel that way. Got it? That's empathy. Compassion comes from a word that means to suffer with. Compassion says, well, I can see why you're hurting. I can see why that was painful for you. What can I do? What can I do? See, compassion is different because compassion moves to action. Empathy just says, I understand and I feel how you feel. But that doesn't mean there's anything compelled of me to do something to help you, to comfort you or encourage you, support you, to give you appreciations. It doesn't want to do anything. It just empathizes. Now, I'm not against empathy, folks, but I do believe the higher way of living is to live with compassion, to hurt and then to do something, to hurt with that person. It's a passage in the old Bible. There's one that says, mourn with those that mourn, rejoice with those that rejoice. When you mourn with someone, mourn with them. But what does that look like? What are you doing? Maybe you're comforting, maybe you're encouraging. Maybe you're just sitting there without saying a word. The power of presence. The power of presence. So the next one is they lack empathy and they lack compassion. Number 10 sign that you're married to a narcissist is that narcissists, as a way of being, for the most part, are impatient and they're unkind. In other words, they want it done now and they're not willing to wait. You serve them, you better do it under their timetable. Impatience is not something that they value because to have patience means I could lose control. Matter of fact, to have to wait makes me feel uncomfortable. Why? Because it means I don't have control. If I have control, I want it done now. Why? So I can control it. And they're unkind because when you do something that hurts them, they're going to hurt you back. They're going to hurt you back. Kindness is not something in their repertoire. Why? Remember, we just said a minute ago, they lack compassion and empathy. Because they lack compassion and empathy, they don't understand how it is for someone else. They have the ability to connect to another person's heart. So since they're so connected to their own heart, because they have the inability to connect to another person's heart, they're going to come across as impatient and unkind, harsh, insensitive. Suck it up. Get over it. You shouldn't feel that way. Why would you feel that way? I feel this way. The lack of kindness and impatience, you see. You know, people refer to that passage in the Bible as a love chapter. And the first two things it says about love there in 1 Corinthians 13 is that love is patient and love is kind. Patience and kindness. I believe every day that we humans get the opportunity to practice patience and kindness in all its forms, wherever you go. Why? Because the more patient and kind I become, the more loving I'll be. Why? Because love is patient and love is kind. So the more patient I am, I'm loving. The more impatient I am, I'm not loving. The more kind I am, I'm loving. The more unkind I am, the more unloving I am. It's not rocket science, folks. It's pretty simple. Narcissists lack patience and kindness. Got it? They tend towards impatience and being unkind. Next one, sign that you're married to a narcissist is that narcissists will always dominate the conversation. Folks, I just got done doing a intensive with a couple, and they're in high distress. And he's failed a first marriage because of his abusiveness and his controlling ways, particularly with his voice and tone. He gets loud. And whenever his wife would want to talk, he'd cut her off. He dominated the conversation. So I had to call him out on it. He didn't care. It got so bad that I was trying to regulate him so he could see what he's doing. His wife and I just decided to shut down. Why? Because he was yelling. He was loud and pointing at both of us. At one point he said, "You two, see, the reason you're listening now and you're quiet is because I have to yell. I have to yell to get people to listen to me." Actually, we weren't listening. At least I wasn't. I decided I'm not going to engage a fool in their folly. So if he wants to act like a fool, then I'm not going to engage him. He interpreted that as me listening. Actually, I wasn't listening because nothing that he's saying had any value because he wasn't teachable. But he loved having the floor. Did you get that? He loved having the floor. Narcissists like the floor. They don't want to give up the microphone, folks. They dominate conversation. And the last sign, number 12, that you're married to a narcissist is they always have a feeling of entitlement. A feeling of entitlement. In other words, you exist for them. And those things that happen over there are for me. And these people owe me. These things happen because you all didn't do this, but really, I shouldn't have to do that. Why? Because I'm entitled. I'm entitled. I don't have to work. You ought to provide for me. I don't have to parent. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. Why? Spirit of entitlement. Sadly, spirit of entitlement is growing in this country like crazy. Everybody's feeling entitled. Why? There's so much brokenness and family breakdown today. And so lastly, there's that feeling of entitlement. You know, I've come to realize, if you want to sum it up, all those 12 traits I just gave you are signs you're with the narcissist. If you probably see 8 or more, you're probably married to someone who's a narcissist or who has strong narcissistic traits. Can you have the marriage you want? Most likely not. Why? Marriage is about humility. Marriage is about goodwill. Marriage is about respect. Marriage is about empathy and compassion. In order to have those 3 things, goodwill, respect, and empathy, you gotta have humility. Can't do it. And narcissists lack the very trait that is required for leadership, good leadership, mature leadership, to be emotionally healthy, to be a loving, caring spouse, be a loving, caring parent, to be a person as a way of being, to be a person of integrity. And what is that trait? Humility. Humility. Sadly, narcissists are the center of the world, and everything exists around them. It's just the way it is. They damage relationships and they damage people's souls along the way. They just never know or understand that they're the cause. Why? Because they're the center of the world. They don't have the ability to see it. Why? Their pride, their arrogance blocks them from seeing the truth. You know, the only way you can have a relationship with these kinds of people is if you really, get a thick skin and really believe in yourself. Sadly, though, most people have to leave because they're emotionally and spiritually abusive, mentally abusive. And yes, they can become physically abusive at times, but not all do. One thing for sure, you'll never have the love you're looking for. Because there's one thing that narcissists are not capable of. It's love. It's love. The love that we think of that you want in a relationship requires humility, it requires goodwill, requires respect. It requires those things. It's the very thing narcissists don't have because their pride, this over-gratiated, this high view of themselves blocks them from seeing the truth. And because they're not able to see the truth, they're never really going to be set free. This is Dr. Rick. I hope this has been helpful for you. And I hope you have a great holiday season. Thanks for listening.